Hi there, just to say this is a short snippet from this week's main episode, which was published on Wednesday as always. If you want the full episode, you can find it just below this one. You know, a lot of people like to tell me I'm direct, like family and friends and stuff. And this will be an example of me being very direct. But I say it to myself because I have taught maths, not in like school or a university, but as a bit of my own self-employed business. I've taught maths, and I know how it goes. Most teachers and lecturers are simply parrots. They're parrots. They hear something and they just repeat it. They hear something, they just believe it. They don't filter it. They just accept it, and it becomes part of their scientific knowledge database. Like, I know it might sound like an insult, but it's a fact. It's not even an insult, because that's just like the status quo. That's just like what the education system produces. That's what the PhD system produces. It doesn't produce people who think carefully about these things and think carefully about the limits of science. It creates parrots. That's what it does. It's like, you know, if you're trained to become a priest, that's what would happen. You would train to defend Christianity at all costs. This is what happens with science. Teachers and lecturers, they love the models and the theory, and they love their discipline, and they just assume that it's all true. Like, there is no distance from it. It's like there's an identification, and it's like it's almost like innocently cute. You know, it's just like, this equation, this proof, this is what we do with it, this is how you can work with it, end of story. Like, that's not questioning, that's not really wisdom, and that's not true knowledge. That's just being a parrot, you see. It's very much like learning a religious text. You know, it's just, here it is, this is what it is, take it in and move on. And the teachers, you know, if you ask like your maths teacher or your maths lecturer, why is this true? How, you know, and you started to get into like the depths of mathematics with them, they would start to close down. They wouldn't be curious about it with you. They would start to close down. And that's because they're a parrot and they don't actually know what they're talking about. Now listen, I've come across exceptions. I've come across, well, very few, to be honest, like not that many, but I have come across some decent examples of people who aren't like this, but mostly not, like, seriously, like very few exceptions. You see, again, why, as a maths or physics or whatever teacher or lecturer, why do you need to believe it's true? You know, why? Is it, if you really ask that question, you'll realize it's just an identity thing. It's just because you really need it to be true. You really need to believe in it so firmly because it gives you your identity. Hi there, just to say this is a short snippet from this week's main episode, which was published on Wednesday as always. If you want the full episode, you can find it just below this one.